Hi everyone, this is Heather Lottinen from the Flourish.Academy. This is episode 236. Oh, and by the way, this is Moo Moo's kitty. He's joining us today. This question came in yesterday from my friend Michelle. She said, what do you do if you have pneumonia, a 101 degree fever, and literally cannot move your body? It hurts so bad, but you have a wedding that day. For those of you that photograph weddings, have you thought about this? This shoots fear through my veins like nothing else. Because, okay, let me say this. For any other type of photography, if you are ill, reschedule the shoot. Don't try to photograph a newborn or kids or anyone with a cold or sick. Even if you're feeling better, if you're hacking away, the parents are not going to appreciate you doing that. Even if you're not contagious, just reschedule. Okay, that's easy. Don't make it a big deal. Just reschedule. You're sick. What are you going to do? But in terms of weddings, this gets interesting, doesn't it? What if you are very, very ill? Okay, I will say this, 15 years of weddings, I have shot many weddings very, very sick. And I have done it to the best of my ability, and I have kept quiet about not feeling well, and I don't think anybody would have ever known that I was sick. The photos were great. We worked it out. It was fine. But I do want to read to you, I have my contract here in my hands, what I have in my contract about getting sick with weddings. It says, liability of the photographer. In the event this agreement cannot be completed due to unforeseen circumstances such as war, illness, which is really a war on your body, accidents, acts of God, etc., beyond the control of the photographer, the photographer's liability to the client shall be limited to the return of the client's retainer. Photographer's maximum liability shall be limited to the return of the client's payment. In the event that the photographer becomes ill, injured, or for any other reason cannot fulfill this contract, the photographer will find a suitable replacement or return the client's total payment. So this is key. If the photographer is ill or cannot complete the contract, the photographer will find a suitable replacement or return the client's total payment. So you've covered yourself from a liability standpoint. But what about when this happens? Okay, actually, 15 years, one time, this did happen to me. Oh my goodness. Wait till you hear this. It was March. Okay, first of all, I do very few weddings in March because March in Western Pennsylvania, not usually so pretty. I had a doubleheader in March. What in the name of Mike? I had a Friday, Saturday wedding in March one year, which is just unheard of. Well, Thursday before my Friday wedding, I came down with that crippling flu. The type of flu, you are flat on your back, you literally cannot move your eyeballs, everything hurt, you can't move. You are in so much pain. I thought to myself, all right, this isn't good. I have a double header. That is physically taxing to begin with. What am I gonna do? I was freaking out. So that Thursday, I just went to bed. I drank as much water as possible and I just slept nonstop because I thought I can get better enough. Again, I've shot many weddings sick. I can do this. I can get through it. Well, I wake up Friday and I realize there's no way. I can't even move. I can't lift my fingers, they hurt so bad, let alone photograph a wedding. So Craig is my second shooter. Craig is also my husband, father of my children, etc. And he's wonderful, but he couldn't lead a wedding. So this is where it's really important that you network with some professionals that you respect, that you would have no problem shooting one of your weddings with. So I started making some phone calls from my bed, flat on my back. And I called a couple of people. Now listen, this is a Friday and I'm calling these people saying, I'm dying. Can you shoot a wedding for me today? Okay, in March, so nobody's even like expecting this, right? This is probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe even longer, 8 years ago, and nobody was available. Like I'm making phone calls, and the first person I called was Leanne. She's not available. I called a few other people, not available. Finally, I get a hold of my friend Sandy Yetter from Red Lotus Photography, and she says to me, absolutely, I'll make arrangements for childcare. She has a daughter, and I'll cover this for you. Okay, let me tell you something. Sandy Yetter is a hero. In this house, she will always be a hero. Red Lotus Photography, please follow her, please support her. She's a hero. She dropped everything, rearranged her schedule. She met Craig at the wedding along with my other second shooter, Michelle, at the time. Sandy, Craig, and Michelle shot that wedding for me. Now, this was a Friday wedding. Saturday, I managed to pull it together enough. I shot my Saturday wedding, even though I still thought I was going to die. I did it, and it was great. It was awesome. But going back to this Friday wedding, okay, this is my worst nightmare come true. I am not even kidding you. I tried to call the bride. I couldn't get a hold of her. I tried to call the venue. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. Finally, I got a hold of my friend Walter. For those of you that have been shooting weddings in Pittsburgh for some time, you'll know that Walter was a coordinator at the Priory. This wedding was at the Priory. And I said, Walter, I'm dying. And I'm sobbing while I'm telling this story because I just can't even believe this is happening. I would have done anything to be there. I said, I can't get out of bed. I'm dying and I can't get a hold of the bride. And I need you to help me. And Walter was awesome. He's since retired. And he said, I'll talk to our handle. I said, I have a replacement. Her name is Sandy. Craig will be there. Michelle will be there. They will cover. It's awesome. Now, I guess the only thing that was working in my favor, that I was lucky, was this was a free wedding that I donate. At the time, I was donating a free wedding per year to military personnel via the Priory's Winter White Wedding. This was a partnership we had formed. They were giving a wedding away to military personnel, and I was the photographer. So I was not being paid for this wedding. Of course, I still felt responsible and I wanted to be there, but that did sort of take the sting out of it a little bit. So I sent Craig, Michelle, and Sandy was leading. They shot the wedding. The bride was incredibly gracious. She was so kind. She was thrilled with their photos. They did a fantastic job. I edited the wedding. That entire day was one of the worst days of my professional career. I just couldn't believe it was happening. I could not believe this was happening. And then I was so upset that, physically that's not good for you. And I'm trying to calm down, calm down. It's going to be okay. They're going to manage it, because I had to get better for Saturday, or at least enough. So I just went to bed again, slept an entire day, woke up Saturday still in a lot of pain and miserable, but I did it. I shot that wedding on Saturday. And now looking back, it's okay. It all worked out. And I am actually getting hot thinking about this. It was so stressful for me. It's your worst nightmare. And again, the bride was wonderful. These things happen. I've worked with other photographers who have had extreme circumstances where they couldn't be at a wedding and they called in someone else to shoot. 90% of the time, the brides are awesome and super gracious. Every once in a while, you get one that's not so understanding, and then you just have to do what you have to do to make it right. But thankfully, in my case, it all worked out, and it's okay. It'll be okay. The important point here is, number one, protect yourself with your contract. Number two, make sure your bride is not going to read the contract. Make sure you read it to her and she understands that particular section, that you will find a suitable replacement or refund the money. Okay, if it's the day of, there is no way you're refunding money. You had better find a suitable replacement. Well, now there are groups of Pittsburgh photographers who have very wisely band together, and they create an emergency backup list every weekend in one of the Facebook groups that they have. So someone will create a post and say emergency backup for this weekend. And it's usually more active in the summer, obviously, because everybody's booked. And people who do not have weddings that weekend will post their contact information, and they're basically on the ready. Listen, that's huge. I didn't have that back then. It just wasn't, Facebook was around, but not like it is now. So thank goodness you have something like that. If I were you, I would network with some photographers that are at your level or above. And let me tell you something. If this does ever happen to you, you can call me right off the list. I would be there. If I can be, I would be there. I got a call one time from a mentoring client of mine on a Saturday morning. She says, Heather, I am vomiting and I cannot make it to this wedding. Can you do it for me? Absolutely. I said, let me get home. I need to get my gear and changed. I will be there. Now, in the meantime, I wasn't home. In my drive from where I was to my home, she found somebody else who was closer and stepped in and did it for her, which was awesome. But I would drop everything and do that for any of you. And I would expect that you would do it for one another too, because we're in this together. We're a community and we have to help one another. So is there the potential for this to happen, for you to get sick on a day that you have to shoot a wedding? Yeah, it's a possibility, but you better make some friends. You cannot do this on your own in an island. Make some friends that you trust. I see my friend Mandy Briscoe just joined. I would call her in a minute to shoot a wedding for me. Last year, I shot a wedding for our friend Mara because she had back surgery, sort of at an unexpected time. I shot a wedding for her. I would do that for any of you, and I'm sure you would do that for each other as well. I hope that you found this useful. I'll see you in the next video.